Greetings and welcome to Pop's Collection. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Disney Plus series, Ms. Marvel. I'm Ron Tweedy, joining me is Pops, and we're going to talk about episode 1.
Our first impressions, where we'll talk about episode 1. Well, that is our first impressions, I guess. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here with us. Hope you got your coffee, sit down, relax, unless you're working out or whatever you're doing. But we're glad you're with us. Ms. Marvel, that's got to be something relatively new in the comics, right?
Technically, yes.
Technically?
Yeah. So, it's a good thing to bring up. So, the character Captain Marvel, Marvel, we did a pretty, general overview of that character with our Captain Marvel episode a couple of years back. And the main character of that, Marvel, he had Carol Danvers kind of as a sidekick / support person. And when Marvel died, Carol Danvers assumed the powers from the Kree or the Power Cosmic, whatever it is anyway. She became Ms. Marvel in the 1970s. So the character Ms. Marvel has existed since 77, essentially. So, we've had that. But this particular iteration that we're talking about today, that the Disney Plus series is based off of, is, as you said, recent. This is Kamala Khan. She is kind of a, teenager that's looked up to Carol Danvers, as she has heard, over the past decades as a hero. And, that's kind of how she adopts her persona around that. So that's kind of the thing. So yeah, we can, I guess, talk about the origins a little bit of Kamala Khan. The first episode that we get here on the Disney Plus is definitely an origin story for Kamala, and it's sort of consistent with the comic, sort of not.
That's kind of what I was going to ask you about.
So I guess for me, it's a little different for me because my first introduction to Kamala Khan was from the Avengers video game made by Square Enix a couple years back. And she is kind of the main protagonist. You kind of take control over her throughout the game. And so you play the story out through her eyes and her perspective. And in my opinion, I think the origin story given in that one is better than the comic. Comic one's a little bit different. And the funny thing is that the show melds the two together, which is kind of strange. So we'll start with the comic first because that was first. That came out in 2014.
Okay.
And let me share my screen actually because I have some of the screenshots here from that. And here we go. So these just the comic covers, but you can see from her design, Carol Danvers, had like a black costume with the lightning bolt, and so Kamala Khan has the similar lightning bolt, but she's changed it up quite a bit with the red and the blue, and she has the bangle in that one. So in the first issue, we have her, very similar setup. She still has her friend Bruno. Bruno actually works at the Circle Q in Jersey City. And, there's also the popular girl Zoe, just like in the show as well. And Zoe is, not very well liked with other folks, but she actually is nice on the outside. So she seems to be kind of nice in a condescending way towards Kamala. And what's different in this one is that she, I guess, wants to go to a party that Zoe's going to be at. So it's just a party. It's not an Avengers level event. It's just a party thing that she ends up going to. She sneaks out just like, against her parents' wishes. And in this case, she actually gets exposed to this green looking mist thing here. And from that, she ends up gaining powers, and it actually manifests. She kind of has like a vision of the Avengers, and they're speaking Arabic, or sorry, not Arabic, Urdu, and they're kind of telling her to get up, and then she has these shape-shifting powers that turn her actually into Captain Marvel. You can see this is like the classic Captain Marvel's costume.
Right.
Or, sorry, Ms. Marvel, I should say. Carol Danvers, Ms. Marvel. Anyway, so she does that. She saves Zoe just like in the episode. And then, she's, fighting crime. This is from issue number 3. Again, she's turning into Carol Danvers, getting, and she has those abilities of her making herself bigger. So she embiggens herself. She gets like, giant fists, stretchy, and that's how she fights. She realizes that she's trying to be somebody that she's not, so she just has to be her. So the character arc for her is that she ends up, making her own costume, being herself as who she are. She doesn't want to be Carol Danvers. She wants to be herself. And that's it. Overall, it's not a bad story. In my opinion, is that it's
the comic book story is not a bad story.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit that I don't like. I don't like the fact that, and I guess I have to compare it to the video game story. I don't have any screenshots from the video game. Maybe I should have brought that in. Maybe I'll splice in some footage, if we're watching it on video. But, instead of it being a party that she sneaks off to where she ends up getting her powers, the underlying story about that is that if you're rebellious to your parents, you're going to end up getting superpowers. It's not really a good message to send to our young girls. I'll just throw that out there.
Okay.
So the story for the Avengers actually is way more I think better. So the first thing is that there's this Avengers Con event that's happening, just like in the show. So that's where that comes from, is from the video game. But instead of it being kind of like open to the public, it was a fan fiction writing contest that she won. And so, we already have the setup of the character, that she's, creative, she's working hard, she is definitely doing well what she does, creating stories, and she's being rewarded for that. So you kind of see that. And then her and her father go to this Avengers event or whatever. And then, similar to the origin of the comic book story, there's this Terrigen Mist that gets released and transforms not just her, but a lot of people into Inhumans. And so that's kind of where the Inhumans, so she is considered an Inhuman in the video game. And I think there's some also continuity in the comics that kind of does that as well. So it kind of actually led into introducing MODOK and AIM and all that stuff in the game, which was pretty cool. And then from there, that whole event happens, the Avengers break up, and then you as Kamala help get the Avengers back together to fight it, get back against MODOK and everything. So to the game, I think it's way better of an origin story for her, because it kind of highlights, her creativity, the way that she interacts with a lot of the other Avengers. It's actually pretty heartwarming and wholesome. We'll see a little bit of that, I think, in the show as well. So it's kind of a mix between the two. She still sneaks out, but this time she's going to an Avengers event. And
Avengers Con.
Yes.
Kind of like Comic Con.
Yeah, exactly. But the main difference here being is that her powers aren't coming from an accident. They're actually coming from something that was handed down to her, which is, I think, interesting. It's very different.
I think that part of it kind of makes me feel that, I guess, that what reason that her mother, that basically in the story that she wants her to get her head out of the clouds and, get a foundation. And she mentioned something, I guess it's from her aunt, and that her sister always had her head in the clouds.
No, her I think it's her grandmother that had the head in the clouds.
Or the grandmother, whatever. But it was a family member.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that I believe that this bracelet that she puts on is something that her mother might have been a hero in.
It was her grandmother's bangle. That wasn't her mother's.
Right. Well, her grandmother's bangle. Thank you.
So yeah, and then some of the other covers here, you can see she has Lockjaw from the.
Yes, from the Inhumans.
Exactly. So there's definitely a bleed over there. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different character than we're used to. And I to me, That's kind of it. So I would have preferred if they would have been a little bit more, centered not around her being rebellious against her parents.
That would have been better, yes.
But it's not as bad as the comic where she's just, going to a party for selfish, reasons and, wanting to,
Well, she is going for selfish reasons. She wants to win a contest.
But that's a little bit different, right? I mean,
yes.
It's and, the other part of it is that it's not it's more about her doing something that participating in something that she loves, right?
Right.
And I think that that's definitely something that is, we kind of see her parents try to relate to her with that and try to make strides towards it, and just ends up not working out because, teenagers are going to be teenagers, right?
Right. And I think that the acting was really good in this, especially in her rebellious moment here. Her mom makes her a Hulk costume, but she ain't having none of that.
Well, yeah. So that's actually, I love that. It was actually one of the most wholesome moments in the film where, they want to help, her kind of pursue her interests. And so they want to try to do it on their terms, which, having her father attend with him, in the green paint dressed up as the Hulk. I really love that. I thought that was genuinely really cool. I mean, just
yes. And she really was, the acting, she was really hurtful to her parents. And we know, you know what they say, I can't wait till, as a parent, we can't wait till you turn 20, then you won't know everything anymore, it's kind of interesting. She wanted to be Miss Marvel, and she had it all planned out in her own way, and the parents weren't having any of it, So,
well, I guess the other part of it is that she didn't really reveal all that, the Ms. Marvel cosplay stuff at all to them, because she was afraid of how they would react. And so that was the other part of it.
Right.
So
I do feel like that it was really geared towards more a younger audience.
Sure.
I think,
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we talked earlier this week about Hawkeye and how that was kind of a similar thing. And I kind of get the same vibes from that. And, honestly, it works. The thing about Marvel that makes it so compelling is that there really is something for everybody. And so,
and I believe that was due to like Stan Lee's philosophy.
Sure.
He when he was writing, his attempt was always to reach the audience who's going to be reading this book. And so he tried to make all of the different conflicts something that would be relatable to his reading audience. So
sure.
That's one thing that I think that at least Disney is trying to get right.
No, they're not.
They're
I think they're actually succeeding. Despite
the opposite.
They're succeeding despite the expectations that Disney has. This one completely defies normal conventions. I mean, this is a character who has a stable family environment with two parents that love her dearly, and they are true to their culture, and they are authentic in their beliefs. And to me, it's like, okay, that's great. I mean, it's great we have some representation of a Pakistani Muslim family where you have all of the cultural affectations, and we're doing it. I can't speak to say how well they're doing it. I get a lot of love, and there's lots of wholesomeness around this, and I think it's great. I just wish they would say, this is great. Let's keep doing this. When are you guys going to do something for evangelicals? Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, it's unfortunate. Like your mother says, usually whenever evangelicals are portrayed, they're as fanatics or over the top,
Yeah. And I will have to say, in I guess Marvel's defense, the way that they approach Matt Murdock's Catholicism, they do that, I think, in a pretty successful and respectful way. So it's not like they're anti, it's not like they have completely ignored Christianity, but Catholicism is kind of its own thing. So, which now that Disney's kind of taken over all of that, who knows what Matt Murdock's going to be like in the future? That's still kind of unknown.
Yes, but now that you mentioned that again, talking about finally getting Hawkeye on DVD, I need to see Kingpin again.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
I mean, so that also, when we, if you want to go back and listen to our Hawkeye episodes, again, like I shared with you, by owning it on DVD and being able to watch it, I received more clarity. Whereas when we watched it and went over it, there were certain things that we had said during that episode, and we felt that we never saw Kingpin die in that. So we said, oh yeah, he's got to come back, because everybody comes back. But I got a little more clarity on that by being able to watch it on DVD. So
okay,
I'm going to I want to see, I'm definitely interested to see where they go on this show. Is it going to be like the others and just a 6-episode thing?
According to Wikipedia, yeah, it's a 6-episode thing.
Okay. Well, I think that is, I mean, technically it's a long movie, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So it probably could have been something that they could have put out in a movie.
I don't think it's suited to a movie. I think this is the right format for a show like this, for a character like this, for a story like this. I think this is definitely appropriate. It's one of those things where, yeah, I just think that a movie would have been too much.
Yeah. Well, another thing too. Now, see, I feel like when they were at the Avengers Comic-Con thing, when she first realized some of her powers, I thought that could have gone over on the big screen. The hammer falling down,
yeah, that was fine.
All that nonsense going on there. I think that would have gone over real well.
Yeah, I guess now that you bring that up, we kind of do have to say that there is a significant difference between the powers that she has in the comics and the powers she has here. It's more like a crystal magic thing, as opposed to her becoming stretchy or making herself bigger. So
right, I think it's more like the Carol Danvers character, or maybe I don't know if it's going to develop into that.
Not really.
Well, she was pushing stuff out of her hands, right?
Yeah, no, she was not pushing stuff out of her hands. She was like shooting stuff out of her hands. Those were projectiles. Obviously, we can tell that her Kamala's powers is, she was able to catch Zoe with her extended crystal arms or whatever. So it wasn't just a destructive thing. It was, kind of an extension of her body.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how that'll come over.
Yeah, I'm not sold on that. I don't know how I like that. I don't think that was a good change. I would have preferred her, normal stretchy powers as well. I thought that was, part of the charm of the character, is you have this, goofy teenager, awkward, and, she kind of plays into that. And it's like I said, it's surprisingly wholesome, and it works for her. It's not, to me, it's just, I don't know. I actually, despite, some people's misgivings, I think actually she's a good character, and she definitely merits her own show. I liked already this one episode. I like this better than the entire Moon Knight series.
Well, that's not saying a lot, but Unfortunately, the Moon Knight series did not go over real well.
Yeah.
But all right, well, compare that to Captain Marvel. Is this a better character than Captain Marvel?
Yeah, a lot better.
I hate to put you on the spot, right?
No, well, Tracy and I were talking about it. That was her thing, is that that was the only thing that she did not like. She's like, why is this girl obsessed with Carol Danvers? Because Carol Danvers is not
a role model, right?
It's not an interesting person. Honestly, like, the beginning of this first episode, she kind of retells the events of Endgame, where Captain Marvel comes in to save the day. And I know from other anecdotes from other folks is that that point in the movie where she comes up and it does that or whatever, there was audible groans coming from the audience. It's like, I don't know. To me, I've heard rumors that there were some original drafts where it wasn't Captain Marvel that came in to save the day. It was actually Adam Warlock, but that never happened because, that character didn't get a chance to get developed after Guardians 2. So that was kind of something they weren't able to do. So, yeah. To me, it's like, why Captain Marvel?
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, she was obsessed. You could tell it. The whole story was that Captain Marvel saved the day. She's the one that saved Earth.
In some respects, that is true, but a lot of other respects, we're talking about a character who is on Earth maybe a total of a few hours, essentially, right? I mean, she's there for the battle. She's there at she's, I don't know, to me it's like, and anytime else that we've seen her, she's in other parts of the galaxy or whatever, it's like, I don't know, to me it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I could see her wanting to be, maybe up until recently Wanda Maximoff or Natasha Romanoff, or anyone else makes more sense to me than Carol Danvers. Now in the comics it makes sense because Carol Danvers hangs around Earth a lot more, but in the MCU not so much.
It's a different story. Whereas based on what we had seen, like you said, in Endgames, I mean, she was there at the beginning and at the end. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she was just like phased in thing at the beginning,
Yeah, totally.
So anyway. Yeah, that part, I thought that went like,
but then again,
a little overboard.
Yeah, but that kind of, the fact that she is Ms. Marvel, she would want to be, that I understand the reason why they wrote it that way. They wanted to be true to the comic. I get it. It's just, there's not a whole lot of in-universe explanation as to why, Captain Marvel is thought so highly of.
Right, but you have what they call a Avengers Con.
Yeah.
And the contest is for who could be, who could be the most like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I assume that there were other contests for other heroes. We just didn't see it on screen. I had the way some of the establishing dialogue makes me think that there were other people there dressed up as other characters. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
and I did like that there was at least a passing reference, I think, because that Scott Lang has a podcast or something like that. She has.
Yes.
Of course, Scott Lang would do that, which is great.
Yes, of course. Of course.
I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yes.
And that was another thing that was sorely lacking from the Moon Knight series, is that you have kind of, this familiarity that they actually exist in the same world,
Right. Was there any reference? I don't think.
Maybe there might have been a reference to the blip, but I don't remember anything else.
No. See, and that's your only link to the MCU. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty lame. But we're not here to talk about Moon Knight again.
Nope, we're not. We've discussed that too.
Yeah.
nausea.
Yes.
Really.
So there's yeah, it's a good. I'm actually really excited about the rest of this film, of this series, and we'll see where it goes. But
what about the sidekick? The guy
Bruno? Yeah, I mean
yeah.
Bruno's in the comics, totally fine. I do like that he's kind of like the guy in the chair for her, kind of similar to like how Ned is for Peter Parker, which is great. You kind of need that playing off each other, or so I like. I think they worked well together, and him being technologically minded, it was pretty cool. And I thought, like I said, wholesome. Just
would you say that her character is middle school or high school?
They're high school.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because one of the main parts in the film is that she is talking to her high school counselor about college. So high school.
True. You're right. Well, yes, it should be interesting.
Yeah. And I'm thankful that it's taking place in another area that's not New York. We got Jersey City, so you kind of get a little bit of a different feel there. And it's not, obviously New Jersey is not like this exotic location, but at the same time, at least it's, it's something different.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting, the markets and everything.
Yeah.
I think they try to make that true to form and realistic looking.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, I would say this is definitely, if you have children, I don't see any reason why they couldn't watch it.
No.
Also,
no,
right?
Very, like I said, family friendly, wholesome. Nothing objectionable in it at all.
At least not yet. Let's hope not.
No, I'm going to say they're not going to do that, and the reason why I say that is because of the the background of the character, the Muslim thing, that they're going to be respectful of that. I do honestly think they will, and so they won't tolerate. Let's just say that where countries that are majority Muslim and have a Muslim worldview, they don't take kindly to some of the other inappropriate stuff that ends up showing up in a lot of other our entertainment. So I have a feeling that that's kind of going to be a guard against all of that.
Well, I would like to see that. Who do you think is going to be the main villain in this? Do you have any idea? Do you have any thoughts?
That's a good question. I mean,
you can't have 6 episodes of an origin story.
I mean, you could, but I don't know if you should. At the very end, there was some sort of organization that was like, they identified her. And so I'm guessing that is SWORD, which we saw in WandaVision.
Right.
I have a feeling that's what it is. So we might see maybe some corrupted part of the organization there wanting to exploit her. Personally, I think it would be cool to introduce MODOK. It'd be actually pretty cool.
That would be really, really cool.
If they could, but I don't know if they will. You have that. The other thing to keep in mind is towards the end of this series, when it's wrapping up, is also it's going to coincide with the release of Thor Love and Thunder. So it's possibility that we could get some cosmic Asgardian element to it. Maybe, I don't know, because we've seen other series where they kind of bleed into the movie, like with Spider-Man and Hawkeye both getting characters from the Daredevil series. So that's possible. We also saw but we also saw with Moon Knight having nothing to do with Doctor Strange at the same time. So who knows?
Right. Also on Hawkeye, we also had Black Widow character.
Yeah, Yelena. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean,
and somebody noticed in the credits that for the Ms. Marvel, and I did not confirm this, so this is just rumor as far as I know, but somebody did see a line in the credits for assistant to Miss Steinfeld in Ms. Marvel.
Really?
So that would suggest that we might see an appearance from Kate Bishop, which I'm totally okay with. That'd be really cool. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be happy with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, it's good series.
Yeah.
So far, the first episode.
Yeah.
It was definitely watchable. So
yeah, I would say that this is one of the better ones of the series. Like I would definitely the top half of the good ones. And yeah, definitely worth watching more of. I'm actually interested in actually watching more of it. So it's good.
Well, that's a positive thing. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That you know, what we've had to go through before, you know, this is really a much more upbeat episode for you.
Sure.
You know, in comparison, having to go through all of Moon Knight was definitely a difficult thing. Yeah. So are we gonna go through this episode by episode, or
I mean, I'm okay with that if you want to do that. I think there's certainly, I think they're probably, I guess what we can do is kind of see what next week holds. If it's an episode that we feel we can talk a lot about, maybe we'll do that. But we'll see.
Okay, so we'll play it by ear, and if not, we have other things we can do.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want to go down any uncharted territory, but okay, that was terrible. All right. All right, well, good. Yeah. Anything else you need to say, or?
No, like I said, just that I've been pleasantly surprised so far, and I'm actually, like I said, interested in watching more. So they did good on this one.
All right, excellent. Well, in that case, I guess we'll call it an episode.
Yep. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next week, possibly with episode 2 of Ms. Marvel, possibly with something else. But until then, goodbye and God bless.
Goodbye. God bless. Tell your friends.